There's a very wise old saying that says, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. Now, certainly no one wants to prepare to fail, and this is true in many areas of life, and certainly true when it comes to the complex world of tax credit compliance. Now, when it comes to tax credit scenarios, few are as complex as the acquisition rehab. There are many fine point rules that we need to be aware of in order to, number one, avoid non-compliance, but also to maximize the flow of credits that the owners and investors will receive. In this short series of videos, we will be discussing 2 questions that must be asked well ahead of time in order to prepare for a successful flow of tax credits. Now, when I say well ahead of time, I mean well before the acquisition or the rehab occurs. So, the first question that we'll discuss in this video: when will acquisition occur? Now, it's very easy to be distracted by all the moving parts of a rehab, of a project. Unfortunately, many owners and their management agents get so caught up in the myriad details of the rehab that they don't stop to ask this crucial question as to when the property was acquired. Now, when people call our office, for instance, to initiate compliance consulting, this is usually our first question. And unfortunately, many times it turns out the acquisition occurred many months prior to us receiving the phone call. Now, it turns out that the management agent and the owners were so focused on the rehab that they didn't take time to find out when the acquisition occurred. This can be a serious problem. Now, why is the acquisition date so important to compliance? There are a couple of good reasons that we'll talk about here. According to guidance from the IRS in Chapter 4 of the 8823 Guide, tenants who are living in a project as of the date of acquisition that are proven to qualify within 120 days either before, up to, and then 120 days after the date of acquisition have an effective date as of the acquisition date. Qualifying paperwork finished after that 120-day period is dated and effective the date it is signed and completed by the residents. In some projects, credits will start the first full month after acquisition. Not getting the certifications in the file within 120 days can result in no credits in those units until the paperwork is completed, a loss of at least 3 months worth of credits, and many more months in some cases. Now, even if the start of credits is going to be delayed or deferred until the following year, qualifying households as early as possible provides additional important benefits. First, once they are initially proven qualified at acquisition, the household may now stay. This is true even if their income increases in the future. It will not matter if they are over the income limits at the time the credits start or at the time the rehab is placed in service. The only effect in cases of substantial tax credit household income increase is that the available unit rule must be invoked. The now over income household will not have to move out. In contrast, if the initial certification is completed later and their income has gone up prior to the late initial certification, those households will not be able to stay. They would have been able to stay if management had gotten the certification done in a manner timely to acquisition. A second reason that the process of certifying households should be completed within 120 days of acquisition is the matter of fairness to non-qualified households. Now, if a household does not qualify at acquisition, determining that as soon as possible allows them more time to plan their relocation strategy prior to their lease non-renewal. Better public relations result from retaining existing qualified residents and from giving those non-qualified residents who will have to relocate reasonable time to plan their move. It can also minimize the bad press that plagues some acquisition rehab projects. Now, these are some problems that owners and management agents bring on themselves by not understanding the importance of asking when acquisition will occur and planning accordingly. Now, in our next video, we will cover one more important question to ask when facing an acquisition rehab relating to multi-building projects.